No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen.
We're here. It's the Triple P. Welcome to the Perfect Play Pursuit. We're here pursuing another perfect parlay. Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega this weekend. Coming up, we're going to talk all about it, break it down. But we're coming off the heels of a big winning weekend. UFC 298, Volk versus Topuria. I won a boatload of money. If you were betting alongside me in the open bet sheet, you did too. Alex won you some money too. Dan, hey, we all have a bad week some weeks, but we'll talk about it. We'll break down the whole card top to bottom. I'm joined as always by Dan, Devil's Advocate Dan, and Alex, the Euro Under King. What's up, brothers? How we doing? Looking at the clock, we're starting right on time today. It is Tuesday. Took Monday off for President's Day. A nice long weekend. And here we are. It's a short week, but we got to get to it. Took a look at the card. Rodriguez versus Ortega. I got a couple opinions, but coming off a big winning weekend, over $1,000 in my pocket. Feeling pretty good. How was your weekend, Danny boy?
My weekend was pretty good. Did not come out profitable, as you alluded to. Although, listen, we really got to break this thing down because you had to have followed Luke's open bet sheet from beginning to end. Because I got to tell you something. In the beginning, and when I say beginning, I mean like the first half, like the first 3/4 of the whole card, I'm cruising. Everything's falling in line. And I'm looking at these jagoffs, and, boats are sinking, folks. Boats are really sinking. So, I'm not going to say it was a Hail Mary at the end. You guys, you were confident in Topuria and you were confident in the knockout abilities, and it certainly played out that way. But it just feels a little unsatisfying knowing that my picks were rocking and rolling. Things were going well until they weren't at the very end. I'll take the L on that. But, I mean, what do we have to say about this? I feel like you guys did cheat the system, but there was a shortcut that was taken.
No. So I'm eager to see how you managed to ruin your night if it was going so well for you. As you mentioned, so first 3 picks of the night, Maverick, Elliott, and who was the other one? Barlow. Must have been Barlow, Nakamura. Doing well, right? And then Ribeiro was the first dog of the night that I picked that blew up most of my parlays. Now, obviously it's 2 fighters you don't really know too much about. It's on me to over leverage Ribeiro like that. But I love the juicy dog odds. I parlayed him in just about everything I had, right? So when Ribeiro lost, a lot of my investment for the night went down with him. I had a not small, actually. I had a big solo shot on Paulo Costa, like $200 on Paulo Costa money line.
Yeah.
Right? So I knew going in, I was like, all right, I'm kind of good because I can still win with Paulo. I had that Paulo parlayed with Ilya, and Paulo parlayed with Ilya by knockout. So I'm like, if just Paulo wins, we're pretty much breaking even. If Paulo, and then it sets me up to win more with Ilya. So I'm like, I'm good with just those 2 fights, to be honest. But when Paulo lost, now the intention I had to parlay the winnings on him with Ilya goes away too. So I'm like, all right, I have to trust my gut here. I have to trust the pick I was most confident in especially the best pick at the line in terms of my confidence was Ilya Topuria. He came in, I think, plus 145. That got closer and closer to plus 100 all week, but never dipped down really into favorite territory. It was always plus money. And taking him by knockout plus 360 called my name because, you got Volk, 35 years old, coming off of a knockout just 3 months ago. And you said it best, Dan. He takes those head kicks from Yair. He takes those shots from guys and doesn't go, yeah, but how long can you do that, A? And B, he's there to be hit. He gets hit with them, right? It's just been through sheer force of will, momentum, champ fucking aura that he's not gotten knocked out in the past, but it compounds. It adds up with that knockout from Makhachev. And the biggest thing for me was the not training going into the Makhachev fight. The saying he was drinking, all that time that he had taken off. Topuria didn't take that time off. He was still grinding. People think of it like everything resets when you get a camp, right? It's like, guys, no, this is 24/7. If you're not getting ahead today, your opponent is. So all that being said, I basically bet, and I put this in the open bet sheet. I said, bet on Ilya money line to break even and bet on Ilya by knockout to put profit in your pocket. And that's how it played out for me. I put a few hundred on Ilya so that if he won, no matter what, that was coming out break even. And then I put a bigger investment on him to win by knockout, and they both played out. So happy.
I don't know where this slander is coming from the little engine that could, Den, because in reality, I got 2 fights wrong, right? I got 3 on paper because I switched Oban Elliott day of the fight. But that's only 2 fights incorrect. I don't really know where everything was going right for me. Yours was looking like dog shit. I got Hiberio and Cejudo wrong. Cejudo I wasn't as heavy on in bets as I was Hiberio, but I made right after that. I got a 7-pick parlay right there. I cashed out of one of them because they both had Topuria at the end. I ended up coming out with like $850 on the night. Good night for me. I was very happy. I did the best in terms of picks. I did the second best in terms of money, but Luke just kept firing. You know, you can tell he's heating up over here.
Well, I'm heating up from what was pretty catastrophic weekends back to back. The Joe Pfeiffer card, I did what I did this weekend and it didn't work out for me. But when I traced the feelings I had in both events, I didn't feel about Pfeiffer like I did about Topuria. That was a lazy. I just allowed that to be an automatic decision against Hermanson as opposed to really thinking about what could go wrong here. With Topuria, it was different. So I have to do a better job of being disciplined, of being real with myself. It's all about patience because the only way that I will bet on something that I'm not as confident in is impatience. It's just the desire to want to have a play, to want to have, a bet on the fight that I'm watching, right? Like
some action.
If I can allow myself to be patient and just keep the mantra that we do this every weekend, there's going to be another card next weekend. Don't worry. Like it can take 10 weeks. Imagine if I just zeroed in on my Topurias, my Driscus Duplessis, my Sean Strickland over Adesanya's, like these big, and really, I think that, a lot of people used to say the prelims are where you can make your money. These sleeper cards are where you can make your money because these sleeper cards, people don't know anything about these people, and that's where you can come in and, no, I don't agree. I make my money when it's high profile fights. Gaethje over Poirier, Driscus over Whitaker. Strickland over Adesanya. These are my big plays that I see clear as day sometimes, and I need to strike on more. Topuria, right? Like these are dog shots that others don't see. I believe I see sometimes. I can capitalize. I strike while the iron's hot. And the fandom, right? The reason Volk lost, it's not like everybody wants to look at reasons why. It's like, hey, how about the reason is you overestimated Volk from the start? How about the reason is you all inflated him to an unrealistic bubble? Everybody wants to make legends. Everybody wants to make epic fighters and these like legendary figures because they grew up with them, right? The Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre. What if I told you it was all the ship of thesis? What if I told you there is no greatest of all time? That nobody is good, everybody is bad, and you gotta stop saying that like these guys are different. It's a crazy game of inches, and people allow their lying eyes to deceive them so often when they see a guy like Topuria saying things and they go, well, how could he be saying all of this blasphemy against Volk, our hero? It's like, it's the fan base of protect this man at all costs. Like it's those guys, like, you know what I mean? The same people who like Rob Whitaker.
Well, they were also very cordial before the fight started. Like there was the video of Volk sees Topuria with the belt. And he's like, like that'll be the last time you wear it. And then they come up and they're like, oh, you doing well? How's the weight cut? So they were cool with it. Volk was cool with it. He was even buying in a little bit with the old man outfit. So he was having
Fuck that old man outfit. That was so stupid. That was so lame. Be yourself. Don't be a character. Be your fucking self. That was lame. Volk was actually the one who was overconfident and overcocky the whole entire time. Like Ilia Topuria gave Volk his flowers every chance he got. He said he's one of the best champions that has ever lived, but I think it's my time, and I think I'm going to beat him. And people looked at that crazy, but in reality, Volk, his arrogance was that he can come off of getting just knocked the fuck out while not training for 6 months before that and beat one of the most up-and-coming hot prospects in the game, and now he wants a rematch right away, right? So it's fucking ridiculous. Volk did this to himself. I mean, maybe more time would have helped him, but at the end of the day, I really don't think it would matter. He's old. I don't think he's going to see this peak again.
Never. And I love what you said about his arrogance because people really are slow to realize that, like, just because you've lauded Volk up to these rafters doesn't mean that, like, he was correct in his assessment. He gave Topuria a puncher's chance. I mean, that's what he said about it. And to this day, he's still kind of in that line of thinking, like, he caught me, you know, hey, he caught me, you know, he caught you, he aimed and he threw a punch and he knocked your ass out. That's the game we play. It's not, I love how like everybody just, it's like if one of the outcomes that allows for victory happens, fighters get to just say, oh, I got caught. It's like, stop, dude, you didn't, stop saying you got caught. Like, no, he won. He executed a perfect move on you and won the fight. It's not like in football where they go, like the Super Bowl couldn't have been a closer game. Could not have been a closer game. Is there anybody who even gives a thought to the Niners at this point? I mean, they literally had to hang their head and go home as losers that day. Like, they don't get to be like, oh, it was close and we won a rematch and it was so close. It came down to the last play. It came down to overtime. It came down to this again. No, we deserve a rematch. Hey, let's get a rematch. We need a rematch. No, they are losers. They're done. Second place, you're done. So guess what? That's where you are now, Volk. Done. Loser. Like, no rematch. No, oh, well, it won't happen again. You said it wasn't going to happen this time. It did. So your word means nothing now. Your word means nothing. It's all manipulative game playing. I understand why it has to be done. But it was funny because at the start, you see Topuria kind of saying, like, I'm not giving Volk the rematch. But then I think you see him kind of realize in the press conference, like, look, if the UFC wants me to fight again in Spain, why the fuck not? You know, he's like, yeah, let's fucking do it. He's like, because in his head, I think he was kind of calculating, like, well, at the end of the day, yeah, of course I'll make a shitload of money to fight the most famous guy in the division and a guy I already knocked out and the guy coming off back-to-back knockouts and he's only getting older. Like, yeah, actually, yeah, you know what? He can't ever fucking but
better than Evloev.
But I would rush into it. I'd be like, all right, we're doing the rematch. 6 months. Let's go. Get ready, Volk. 6 months.
Oh, definitely rush him. Definitely rush him because he'll do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't care if he's boozing for the past 6 months. He'll come in there just to get an opportunity. Desperate Volk. But he made like $750,000. So hey, more power to you, dude.
Rich Volk.
Not enough. That won't even outpace inflation. You're actually losing money if you have that amount.
And he's got to pay 2 governments. He's fought in America.
He's got to pay Australia 70% tax. He's got to pay California 85% tax.
That's true. Even in Orange County.
I really want to see, like, for these international fighters, I need to see it one day. I need to see how much has Paddy got to kick in to the fucking UK. How much does, you know what I mean?
Hey, how about Topuria Paddy? Let's line that one up. He was all for it, right?
Paddy fought in New York City, Madison Square Garden. That means you're getting New York City tax, New York state tax, U.S. government federal tax. Then you're getting taxed from your own government when you come home. Then you're getting taxed on everything you buy. It's like, these guys don't make $1. Then you got your manager, right? Then you got your training partners. Then you got your, all these different. Then it's just like, well, I just did all that. I want to buy something fun. Like, for example, I won $1,100 net this weekend, and I went to Yeezy.com and I bought Yeezy pods in one of every size, just because I don't know. It's a 1, 2, or a 3. I don't know which one I am. So I had to get one of every size. So I got one of every size Yeezy pods. I got the Yeezy Vulture wear. I got the top. I got the bottom. I got my girlfriend top. I got me a long sleeve top. So I got I got every item in the Yeezy store. And at the end of the day, I don't like any of it. I don't even like any of it. Like how it looks, I didn't want any of it. I was like, I'm buying this to support Walt Disney, to support Henry Ford. I'm buying this to support Kanye, and that's it. And you know what I mean? Like I was like, I trust Kanye West, so I don't need to like it. It's not up to me. I think I haven't. I don't know Donatella Versace. I don't know Mr. Givenchy. I don't know Jean Balenciaga. Kanye does. So I'll let him decide what's cool. And I'll just, you got it, Mr. Ye, and I'll buy it. And so I got it coming. Hopefully by next show, I'll have some Yeezy on. But my point is, you make a lot of money. You got to buy some stuff that you're not going to normally buy. So these fighters don't make minimum wage. And that's why I always said there shouldn't really even be a salary. Like it kind of complicates things with the taxes. It should just be, the UFC's like the Olympics. You show up, you compete. If you can't make a name off, like if you can't make money off of that, then no money the UFC give you will help you. Put it
Luke,
that way.
they make far more than minimum wage. The most work they do in an evening is 25 minutes, and they do it 3 times a year for thousands of dollars. Okay, if they worked 40-hour weeks, they'd understand. Okay, they are vastly overpaid, if you ask me.
Oh, of course, but I'm still saying that the money almost makes it worse. Like they're almost giving them more trouble than it's worth to even pay them at all. So that's why I said it should just be like the Olympics.
This is a good reminder. Sign up for the Patreon. Money goes straight to the Euro Under King, his job fund. Sign up for the Patreon, folks. It's a great buy. It's a good deal. Sign up yearly. You get a little more of a discount there, and we'll be ready to rock. So
yes, all the money that comes in this month from the Patreon, we're giving to the Euro Under King. He was fucking laid off. It's a terrible Joe Biden economy, so we have to help him where we can. You got 9 days, guys. Get in there to become a member. You got 9 fucking days. All right.
7-Eleven firing.
I feel like I had so much to say about. Okay, so you mentioned when Volk saw Topuria wearing his belt, right?
Right.
And then when he took the belt, right? And then when Volk was wearing the old man outfit, and all of these things, right? This is subconsciously layering in Volk's psyche. Okay, these images, these things that are even coming out of his own mouth, right? It's constantly like Topuria is a meditative guy. He meditates. He believes in manifesting. He was doing it the whole time. Like everything that was happening, it was like Volk was in a nightmare. You know what I mean? He was being confronted with these questions and having to constantly like see these glimpses into the future all week long, you know? And then when Volk said, hey, he can, the only way he's going to beat me is he's going to knock me out and it's like, that's how he beat you, dude. You said it. You can say it in this tone. The only way he's going to beat me is if he knocks me out. Or you can say it like this. The only way he's going to beat me is if he knocks me out. Right? Like both are, but one sounds like this is the way he's going to beat me. Like the way he beats me is he knocks me out. You can say it hypothetically or you can say it factually. And it doesn't really matter if you say it hypothetically or factually. The words came out of your mouth.
I like
Watch
this.
your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions. So, I mean, it's been said. It's been said. It's been done. Who was there was another example of this recently where a guy was like, McGregor. He's going out on a stretcher. McGregor went out on a stretcher. Remember that?
Yeah.
So it happens, guys. UFC is kind of like a chaotic, magical ritual, right? We do it on Saturday, the Sabbath, Saturn Day. Saturn, the child-devouring god, right? The UFC, it's in an octagon, right? Very druidic, very paganistic, very ritualistic, okay? So, I mean, look into it, magic, things like this. It's a summoning ritual. It's an energy harnessing ritual. It's a soul collecting ritual. Just it is what it is. They're owned by the Illuminati. The Illuminati owns the UFC, and they're doing rituals in front of your very eyes. Truth in plain sight. It's karmic balancing. It's Luciferianism, and I love every bit of it. So let's get going.
I don't give a fuck.
What do we think about Bisping?
When you look into it,
Bisping, he deserves to be fired. I can't stand that guy. Get him off. You cannot have Bisping and Joe together ever again. First of all, neither of them know a lick about wrestling. None of them know anything about wrestling. Joe has to lean so heavily on his rudimentary at this point BJJ knowledge. The guy hasn't taken a fucking class, and you think he's down there in Austin going to fucking class? I highly fucking doubt it. So Joe doesn't know what's going on. Doesn't know his ass from his elbow in terms of jiu-jitsu at this point. No offense, Joe, but he's like he's just so mesmerized by fucking Ryan Hall's buddy flipping around on the ground. He's like, it's like, dude, like, stop. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this guy or jiu-jitsu. Joe doesn't realize that nobody likes jiu-jitsu anymore. He has no clue. It has gone over his head that no UFC fan today likes jiu-jitsu at all.
Yeah, UFC is constantly getting kickboxers in there, guys who can strike. The new crop. It's barely any jiu-jitsu guys.
The meme right now is jiu-jitsu doesn't work. It's just a fun meme of the day. And Joe doesn't get that. He doesn't know anything about wrestling. Bisping knows more about wrestling because his son actually wrestles, but still, even he doesn't see it all. And who was the third person they had? Joe, Bisping, and who?
Larasenko.
No, it wasn't Larasenko.
Oh,
I had one mute most of the time. I don't know.
John Anik.
Oh, the worm himself, the little fucking worm himself. You see it at the press conference. They asked him. They said, "Hey, John, you faced some backlash recently. Do you want to address your comments again about what you said about the fans and being the lowest common denominator?" And and the little weasel, little worm, all he said was, he's like, "Well, I think we got a pretty good crowd here tonight in Anaheim." The crowd cheered. He's like, I have never seen a crowd like this before.
He had a pretty lackluster performance, honestly. Like, not even saying like, oh, he was breaking down the X's and O's. No, but I mean, like his energy level. He was almost like, oh, well, you want me at my worst? I can be my worst. He's been
absolutely castrated. He's been absolutely castrated.
He went on the weigh-in show, and the number one comment, in my opinion, was, "Why is John Anik cutting weight?"
Yeah, he's very stressed. He's very stressed. We need to, when it comes to John Anik, continue to boycott, continue to apply.
And I don't believe that guy with the hair is his brother, right? That's just John Anik wearing a wig. You guys have all fallen victim to this sick trick of these Anik brothers. It's just John Anik wearing a wig, a little, photo manipulation, and all of a sudden you got two John Aniks in a picture.
Yeah, I'm with you. I that was the worst commentary I've ever heard in any of any event. It was so terrible. That team was terrible. Bisping's off-color remark at the end, while offensive and disgusting, was just the tip of the iceberg of what was an overall terrible commentary experience.
I thought the rest of the night was almost as offensive, maybe more. I'm teetering.
This needs to get the hell off of Gas Digital Networks. You can't be going over here and saying whatever the hell you want and then thinking you're not going to accidentally say it over here. You know what I mean? It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until Bisping is fully kicked out of the United States entirely, back to the United Kingdom for him. He would hate
How about this?
Can you imagine if they made him live in the UK again? He would never, ever, ever do it. He would sooner fall on his sword, I think. Because if you lived in Los Angeles or California and then you had to go live in the UK, I mean, what hope is there? Like, you go back, you have to listen to everybody. You have to see the rain, eat the blood pudding, eat the fucking worm stew, whatever the fuck they eat over there.
At this point, it might be better to go back. I mean, LA versus anyone.
Sorry. Yeah, no. Well, I'm just saying, like, the weather, the weather.
I understand the appeal.
But no, Bisping and Joe and Anik, they did such a terrible job. I would rather have the British guy, DC, and Lorisenko than those three. And I used to say,
it's a good squad.
I used to say to my friends at the watch parties, right? This used to be a running joke. I'd say, Joe Rogan's in the house. It's a big night. I don't say that anymore. I don't say it anymore, sadly. Never thought I'd see the day.
Hey, how about Ian Gary? Awesome. Loved every second of it. A big smooch on the wife. It was awesome. This guy's my new favorite fighter. He's pissing everyone off. He's got Rampage, tucking his tail and running. Masterclass performance. It was a boring fight. No, he tuned Jeff Neal up like a new guitar. He gave him some tunes. It's awesome.
Jeff Neal, his little switch step he does, his little reset that Oliveira got his ass knocked out with, that Makhachev knocked Oliveira out with it. Mm-hmm. This little this little switch step, this little, okay, time to reset, and now it's time to get serious. I hate that more than anything. If any fighter does it, cut him. Jeff Neal, cut him. I don't find Jeff Neal to be, he's hopeless.
Robert Whittaker scratching the back of his calf, same thing. It weirds me out, makes me uncomfortable.
He doesn't do that anymore. Rob doesn't do that anymore, though.
Oh, really?
I didn't see him do it in the Paulo Costa fight.
Wow. So, I try not to look at it because it kind of grosses me out that let
me just say, Jeff Neal is irredeemable. He's too old, and you can't teach him anything because you can give him the best fucking coach, Saif Sayud. You can wake Faraz Zahabi up out of bed. You could bring fucking Customato back from the dead. That would have been better if I delivered it. Hold on. Let me say it. Let me take that again. Hold on. All right. You could wake Faraz Zahabi. Wait, no, not Faraz Zahabi.
It's like,
okay. You could wake Faraz out of bed. You could bring Customato back from the dead. It still wouldn't help Jeff Neal because Jeff Neal, he just, the coach says stuff to him, and he's like, this, that, like, are you, you're not tired? Do this. He's like, yes, sir. And he doesn't do it. So it's like, hey, if we're telling you what, and also it's like, you got to be willing to get knocked out by Ian Gary if you want to beat him. Sorry. You got to, that has to be, that has to be available. It has to be an option. Topuria was willing to get knocked out by Volk. You know what I mean? he said, I can step into the pocket because I know he's just a volume guy. He's not going to knock me out. But my point is, he knew he had to go through some punches to get to him.
He was willing to get knocked out by Jai Herbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, if you want to be great, you got to be willing to fight. And a lot of these guys they're not fighters. They're wait around for a good opportunityers. That's not what the sport is, guys. The sport isn't stand here and wait for him to give you an opportunity to do something good. It's make something happen. It's called fighting. It's not called winning. It's not called winning. It's called fighting. So get out there and fight. Make a fight. That's all that's all you have to do. And most of these guys don't do that. Isn't that crazy? Most of these guys don't even do that. It's all they have to do.
Mackenzie Dern showed more heart than you.
Mackenzie Dern showed more heart than you, Jeff Neal. Mackenzie Dern showed more heart than a lot of you on the card. Mackenzie Dern, you are a hero. I pointed to the television. I looked at my daughter. I said, that's a hero. And you know what? I didn't say that at the beginning of the fight. At the beginning of the fight, what I said was, same old Mackenzie Dern. Same old Mackenzie Dern. No matter how many times you punch this bitch in the face, she is going to never shoot a takedown. She wants to get punched in the face by everybody. She's like, punch me. God, it's like, Mackenzie, get the fight to the ground, okay? Get it to the ground. And she just never shoots a takedown, never tries to get the fight to the ground. She said in the pre-fight press conference, I got to be Khabib. I got to be Khabib. She knew what she had to do and didn't do it for the first round, right? And it's like,
she probably deserved to win that fight, if I'm being honest.
I was ready to give her the fight.
What?
I had money on Lemos, honestly. Yeah. I wanted Lemos to win really bad. I think the damage is what won it. But I was watching that fight, and I agree with MMA Guru. He says that they score grappling differently in ladies' fights. And I heard that, and I noticed it a lot more after he started saying that. And I thought there was a way to give it to Mackenzie Dern.
Well, Mackenzie, she wasn't going position over submission, and that doesn't help if you're not getting submissions. She spent some of the time that she was on the ground, she was on her back. And, it's inadvisable for Lemos to be doing that. One wonders why in the hell she didn't just get up. One wonders why in hell did she clench with Mackenzie after she hurt her.
Mackenzie Dern showed that Amanda Lemos, at the very least, has worse fight IQ than her.
Yeah, which is crazy. And
insane.
When Mackenzie hit the ground, when Mackenzie hit the deck, I mean, the body language, the way she felt, it was all indicative of stop this fight. It was not like Herzog is really a piece of shit. I really fucking hate Jason Herzog. I really think he's one of the worst refs. And like the problem is the refs I think are the worst are some of the ones that the people say are the best. But it's like, guys, you just see a familiar fucking face. It has nothing to do with what they've ever done. All you know is they come back for another job, so that makes you think they're the best.
Who is the best? Who is the best?
I used to say Herzog myself.
Names. You don't know the rep. Nobody. If I said the best refs, nobody would know their fucking names.
Well, try me. Who's the best ref?
I don't know their names.
I fucking know.
No, but I know what they look like. I got the
Frank
one guy I got in
Rosenthal.
my head. Great ref. I got another guy in my head.
Frank Rosenthal.
Frank Trigg. Shouldn't know their names.
Frank Trigg.
Frank Trigg.
He had a good night.
Frank Trigg was very delayed on stopping the heavyweight fight that he reffed, the Tafa versus what's his name fight.
That was fine. I am.
No, he was delayed. I'm saying it was just a slow stoppage. He just moved in very slow. I'm not saying it was like, he stopped it at the right time, but it took him too long to move from point A to point fucking B. That's the number one thing I look for is how quick do you stop it? And half these guys, Herb Dean, fat, out of shape, lazy. The other guy, way worse than Herb Dean. Shrek.
Mark Smith.
Shrek.
Dan Mergliotta.
No, Shrek. Taglioni.
Chris Taglioni.
Yeah, Chris Taglioni. He is a retiree. He's a pensioner. That guy should be on Social Security with a pair of fucking Velcro shoes driving a bus just as a hobby. He shouldn't be fucking reffing cage fighting. That guy he can't get up quick off the couch. That guy can't fucking touch his toes. How's he going to stop a fight? He let poor, what's his name, take so many violent shots.
Bobby Green?
No, it might have been, but there was another guy who he was miles away by the time, I forget which fight it was, but he was miles away. It's a high profile fight. A guy gets hammered. And he wakes up and he's like, and the ref, he's like, oh, it's okay. He's like comforting him and stuff. It's like, dude, you were 2 miles away. you were fucking getting a churro. All right. There's a lot of good stuff we got to talk about. One thing I need to talk about, Henry Cejudo. Fuck you for life because you talk all that shit on Sugar Sean for looking up at the clock, and his ass was looking up at the clock.
I think he broke his forearm.
I don't
in
give
that
a
fight.
fuck. Alex, I'm saying he talked all that shit about Sugar Sean looking up at the clock, and he looked at the clock. There you go. You're done, Henry. Sorry. You're done. Like, you should have never brought that shit up about Sugar Sean. But Henry always wants to be Mr. Studio teacher in the YouTube audience, like, teaching everybody what's what. Guess what? When Sugar Sean looks up at the clock, he knocks people the fuck out afterwards. And he says he does it because he's trying to see, okay, how much time do I have to manage energy and stuff? Not because he's tired. Henry, when your ass was looking up the clock, Merab was on your back, dragging you down, embarrassing you, making all American wrestlers look bad. You didn't do what I said to do, Henry. He didn't do what I said to do. I said, train hard and have more cardio than Merab, and that's how you beat him. Oh.
Luke, I noticed you haven't brought up Hobbit Whitaker once. You haven't brought up Paulo Costa. You haven't said a single word about this.
I looked away from the TV for 1 second and Paulo Costa lands my favorite kick on my least favorite fighter's head and almost knocks him out. So I literally like watching, look away. Oh, but so that one good moment in the first round, I didn't see it like perfectly live, but that was great. I mean, whatever. I lost $400 or whatever it was on Paulo Costa money line, but that kick was really great. Rob Whitaker still took an ass beating. It's great to see Rob Whitaker get the shit beat out of him. Tough when he wins after. I thought you could have given that fight to Paulo. I didn't like how they were flashing the metrics on the screen, making it seem like Rob was landing more. Like, I was watching the fight. Rob wasn't doing anything. I mean, I guess if little baby leg kicks count. Oh, little baby leg kicks. Oh, yeah. Put it this way. If leg kicks count when you do what Bon Iver. What's the guy's name? Bon Iver? Anyway, Lima.
Bon Iver?
Dan Lima, Bon Iver? I don't know. But De Lima kicks, what's his name, in the leg. And he's like, oh, man. And he like falls down. Those leg kicks count. Those leg kicks count. If the guy is still walking towards you and punching you, they don't count. It's basically like they should grade leg kicks like they grade the women going, yeah, and like punching and missing. That's how you should grade them until you see something. A bruise, a limp, a stance switch, a fall, a wince, anything. But if you're just pantomiming leg kicks and making the judges think you're kicking his leg like Rob Whitaker was doing, you're a coward and a fool. I hate Rob Whitaker. I wish he lost the fight. I hate his interviews. I hate the way he speaks. He's the lowest common denominator in terms of like what we're willing to accept on a microphone. You give him a microphone, everyone's like, oh, I'm on bated breath waiting for Rob. What's Rob going to say next? And then he says the most basic bullshit. And everyone's like, oh, Rob! I hate Rob. I wish he lost. It would have been the saddest night of all time for Australia. But his win, put it this way, every favorite up until that point had won. So I was like, oh, Paulo's got a pretty good shot here. Some dogs have to win tonight, and none of them have so far. So even though these are all uncorrelated, I don't give a fuck. Okay, they're correlated. They are correlated. How about that?
They are correlated.
They are correlated. So
there's an average of 3 underdogs, seemingly, per card of 12 fights. That's normally what happens. It's round 3, anywhere from like 2 to 4. 3 is the sweet spot.
So we see 11 win or 10 win at that point. And I'm like, okay, Paulo's got a really good shot here, just in terms of like the mystical element of it all. And then when he loses, in my head, I'm going, well, at least all the Australia fans can know for a fact that because Rob got that robbery split decision win, and all the favorites continued to win, the pressure had to come out of the tire at some point, and now it caused Volk to lose. So thanks a lot, Rob Whitaker, from all the Australian fans. Thanks a lot. Now, because you won, Volk had to lose. That was the inevitability of the night. All favorites could not have possibly won. It would have been an impossibility. So, for that reason, if Rob had just not won, then Volk might have had a better shot. But nope.
Over here,
greedy Rob, everything for me. Haven't you had enough?
Over here, you're under King Perfect Parlay Pursuit, Luke. Great job on the night. The call in the Ilya Tapura knockout was absolutely sensational. But are your days of glazing Roman Kopylov over?
way over. I respect you. I respect Anthony Hernandez. I never didn't respect Anthony Hernandez. And as the fight drew nearer, I was like, Hernandez is probably gonna fuck this guy up, actually. And yep, that's what happened. I mean, I thought Kopylov did an amazing job in that first round, defending the takedowns, beautiful technique, amazing framing. Everything is so pinpoint and perfect in terms of his positioning, his framing, his technique. It's all really, really spotless until you get him to the ground. And even then, he got out of that first rear naked choke. That reminded me of my days at Marcelo Garcia Academy. Because if you know one thing about Marcelo Garcia Academy, they use the rear naked choke a lot. But I had to defend quite a lot of rear naked chokes. And sometimes they're in so deep and you just are like, fuck it, he's going to choke me out or I'm going to get out of this. And you just fucking, if you are a blue belt at Marcelo Garcia Academy, you get pretty good at defending rear naked chokes really quick. So when it was really taking me back to those days, just like, you know, I think guys tap way too quick in the UFC a lot of the time. And I think that's when what you see guys just kind of looking for a way out. Because, you know, like I said, you see guys paying $250 a month to do jiu-jitsu with more will to fucking not get choked out, you know, on their third roll of the day after working a full shift than some of these guys in the UFC making big money. So I loved seeing him get out of that one choke. You know, hey, look, Hernandez is a fucking beast on the ground. I mean, you know, he choked out Rodolfo Vieira, but that was one of the ones we talked about where looking for a way out, Rodolfo Vieira. So yeah, I mean, I'm not done respecting Kopylov like I'm done respecting Rodolfo Vieira, but I still respect Kopylov. I just think he's a little green in some areas of the game. He could be very great one day, but I don't know that he has enough of a runway. And I don't know that he has enough support. And I don't know that he has enough, I don't know, whatever that X factor is that some of the guys have, because he's missing something, but he could be great.
My final thoughts on the card myself, Danny Barlow, absolutely sensational performance. Excited to see him fight again. Oban Elliott, probably going to fade him in the future. Val Woodburn was giving him every chance to get him out of there. Val Woodburn showed a lot of heart, not a lot of IQ in there. He seemed dangerous the whole time. Going for those takedowns at the end was kind of stupid. Ribeiro and Zhang lived up to expectations. Absolute slobber knocker. I really thought Ribeiro had it in the beginning, and then all of a sudden Mingying Jiang comes in and just knocks him out. That was amazing. I love that he called out Alex Pereira. Call your shot, kid. You know, do your thing. But
I was like, what? Alex Pereira got a title shot pretty quick. Alex is like, you need more fights, kid. He's like, you have 4 fights.
That's so true.
So true. Yeah. Good night of fights for the most part. Capped off with just an amazing, you know, you love Ilya, man. Hey, who picked him 2 years ago when you did the fantasy draft and he had 2 fights in the UFC and I picked him on my
We never did a fantasy draft. That never happened on this show. That never, ever happened.
I've been on Ilya's nuts from the very beginning. I said this guy's a champ one day. You know, and what did I say? Most of all, the most important thing I said about Ilya Topuria is that he fights to the level of his competition. And that's why you've seen him in trouble in the past. That's why you've seen him do, you know, the Jai Herbert situation, the Josh Emmett. I mean, I don't know how anybody's giving him shit for the fucking Josh Emmett fight. Like, people are really ready to ship Josh Emmett out to pasture. He just put Bryce Mitchell in a parallel universe and is like, you know, in my opinion, Josh Emmett beats Volk. Like, in my opinion, Josh Emmett beats Volk right now. So, yeah, it would have been a much better matchup for Josh Emmett to fight Volk than it was for Yair. I'll tell you that much. Because Emmett's got the wrestling and Emmett's got the fucking power. And he could take anything Volk gives him. And if he was willing to come forward, he'd knock Volk out too. So I'd love to see Josh Emmett get another title shot opportunity. Not against Topuria, obviously. But, I mean, I think Josh Emmett has some gas left in the tank, you know. If he can put 3 fights together in the next year, he could get there.
No way.
Yeah, I know. Even as I'm saying it, what are you saying? What the fuck are you saying? Topuria already beat him. He's not. Josh Emmett should just try to get that fight with Volk. If I'm Josh Emmett, I'm trying to get the fight with Volk. I'm trying to get the fight with Max Holloway. Just cross some legends off my career. Get some main events. You know.
There's no way I'm only at 59% at this rate.
Oh, you probably aren't. We got to retally. I don't know. I haven't tallied in 2 weeks.
I'm coming for that number 1 spot next month, March 9th, right? March 9th. I will be number 1.
Yeah, I haven't retallied in a couple weeks. I'll take it.
Wait, March 9th is our anniversary?
May 9th. Sorry, actually. May. So I have plenty of time.
Yeah, May 9th.
I get my M's confused.
For those of you who are new to the show, it's the anniversary of Ferguson versus Gaethje. That's when we started the show. The first ever card we broke down was Ferguson versus Gaethje. Okay, so the real loser is Paddy the Batty Pimblett. all that shit he talked about Ilia Topuria, all the minimizing he tried to do with Ilia Topuria, how'd that work out for you, Patty? He's the world champ, just beat the greatest in his division of all time. You had a lackluster performance against Tony Ferguson and a lackluster performance against fucking Queens guy. What's the Queens guy?
Gerard Gordon.
Dude, yeah, it's like Patty, like stock low on Patty. And this is what I wanted to get to before we break down next week's card. Patty should go, like, the UFC sucks because we got all of these fighters who then just kind of become influencers, like social media influencers, and they get all this injection of money, time, and opportunities in that direction. And then like we have to sit here and be like, okay, like they're a worse fighter and a worse influencer. You know what I mean? It's like, we have influencers. They're good at it. Let them be that. You know what I mean? Sneeko, stop boxing, and Patty the Baddie, stop making videos, and we all get back to doing what we're meant to do. How about that? Is that okay? Can we all do that? Can we all agree?
But you said that they shouldn't be paid so they can make money with the promotion they get.
Devil's advocate, Danny.
Right? Isn't that what you? Wasn't that your?
That's what you said. That was your thesis earlier.
But my point is this:
your ship of thesis.
Like we got guys like
ship of fools.
You got these guys who just they decide that like they have enough now, and then they're not hungry anymore, and they don't fight hard. You know. What did if you think I'm wrong, what did Dana White say about Conor McGregor? They said, is it possible at the press conference? They go, is it possible we may never see Conor McGregor fight again? Dana White says, Conor's really fucking rich, guys. And when you're really fucking rich, let me ask you something, sir. If you were really fucking rich, would you be here asking me that question right now? And the guy's like, nope. He is. Okay. So
bingo.
That's the point. So on the highest level, if you give the guy the most money anybody's ever had in the UFC, hard to get him to show up for work. Hard to get him to show up for work and win. Hard to get him to show up for work and look like they used to when they didn't have all of that, afforded to them. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you can see it on a high level, it's existing on a low level, but it's still diluting our product. It really is diluting our product a lot.
If you can communicate the product.
Sorry. You're right.
Now it's over.
If you can communicate this product, you can make money off the product.
Luke,
that's that when I talked about hitting the Yeezy store and popping tags.
That's right.
That's not even the best quote from that interview. This because
look at Gaga. She's the creative director of Polaroid. I like some of the Gaga songs. What the fuck does she know about cameras?
I like some of the Gaga songs, but yeah, I mean, Kanye West, he put the Yeezy pods out for $200. Everybody, bunch of people bought them, right? Next day, drops the price to $20.
What day did you buy them?
I got them for 20. I bought 3 pairs. I'm gonna resell one for 140 and let somebody think they got a discount.
Fair enough.
Nice. I'll buy.
All right, that's about it, right? No more fights to talk about. Let's move on to next week's card. Thanks for listening to our little rant there. There was a lot we had to get into, and I don't even think we got into it all, but we'll probably remember and discuss more in the Patreon. So if you like the show and you want to support the show and you want us to do bigger and better things with the show, this is the best way to do it. You get into the Patreon, you sign up for a year. It's $100 for the year. And then what that gets you is access to an extra episode of the show, but also our open bets sheet. It's a Google sheet with 4 tabs, one that has all our picks listed out nice and neat, and then 3 tabs for all our individual decision-making that goes on fight night. I posted my winning bets. Alex posted his winning bets last week. If you were in the open bet sheet, you were able to see what we were doing, possibly follow along or fade along with us. So I don't really care what you do, but if you say you like the show, you're missing half the show if you don't get into that Patreon and get the extra episode that we do each week. So support the show. All the money this month's going to Alex. Patreon.com/Perfect Parlay Pursuit. Without further ado, main event, Yair Rodriguez versus Brian T. City Ortega. Let's get into it, guys. So this fight is the main event.
Isn't it Moreno? And Royval? I mean, it shouldn't be.
Pay-per-view. This is a pay-per-view.
No,
it's not.
What is going on? This isn't.
It's not a pay-per-view.
So I thought that Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega were the main event.
Co-main.
Yep. So
I picked up on that at the beginning of the episode. Like, he doesn't know what the main event is.
I really thought they were the main event, and this was the co-main event. But I guess that doesn't make any sense because it's a championship fight. So
No, it's not.
yeah, right. I'm all confused. Moreno is not the champ. Royval is not the champ. Fucking Pantoja's the champ, and Rodriguez isn't the interim champ. He's Ortega. This is crazy. Okay, what a crazy card. So it's in Mexico. All right, guys. Let me table set for you folks. If you're just catching up like I am, this card's in Mexico. It's in Mexico City. Okay, that's gonna be at a little thing called Elevation. We'll be talking about that a lot. 13 fights on the card, free to view on ESPN Plus. We got a great co-main and main, and then we got a lot of local talent, as they say. So we're going to get into it. We're going to break the whole card down for you. Main card first. Let's do the main card. I was wrong. First fight of the night, Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Royval. Battle of the Brandons. Brandon,
we go do some Brandon on Brandon crime.
On, what's the date? On February 24th, there could be some more Brandon on Brandon crime. Both coming off losses, both 2 losses in their last 5. For Mr. Moreno and Mr. Royval, they're both coming off a loss to the same man, and that is Pantoja. Pantoja was able to absolutely dominate Raw Dog in a way that he did not Moreno. Very similar advantageous points in each fight. It was done with the grappling. It was done with the back takes. It was done with the control. But it definitely came out in the wash a little bit cleaner on Royval, the Raw Dog. So I think this is going to be a great fight. I think, there's a lot to discuss about it. I'm going to use the bathroom. Why don't you guys get into it? I got some hot takes, but I know you probably have the same one, so I don't want to steal them from you guys just because, I'm the first one to talk. So I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to let these guys talk to you for a little bit. And when I come back, I'm probably going to repeat a lot of the stuff they say because I'm not going to be able to hear it, but go.
Yeah, Brandon versus Brandon. Originally, Amir Albazi was supposed to be in this position. He hurt himself, neck injury. It was supposed to be Moreno versus Albazi. A much more interesting matchup, in my opinion. We've seen this movie before. And last time, it looked like Brandon Moreno was the bigger, stronger guy in there, was able to manhandle Royval so much that his shoulder popped in the first round, second left into the round. I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno on this one. I just think he's going to be the more vicious guy. I know Brandon Royval has a lot of power, but he's a lot more one-dimensional than Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno will be able to take this fight wherever he wants, and he has a very significant grappling advantage. I think Brandon Moreno probably will not have the striking advantage. He certainly won't have the power advantage, but he will be able to survive a lot better on his feet than Royval will be able to survive on his back. Dan, what do you think about this one?
I think Moreno has the power advantage. I mean, he knocked out Figgy, albeit at the tail end of Figgy's run there at flyweight, but nonetheless, I don't know who Brandon Royval has knocked out. I mean, he seems to be more of like, throws a lot of crazy stuff. Maybe he'll catch you with a flying knee or something. But for the most part, it's a lot of volume, a lot of strikes coming from different angles and all that. But I don't see a lot of power, and I don't see it. I don't see
those fights where he got sub wins, like Kai Kara France, like he rocked Kai Kara France on the feet before he took him down and submitted him. Yeah. Tim Elliott, same thing, I believe, and Matt Schnell. He just knocked out Mateus Nicolau before he got the opportunity with Pantoja. That's kind of where I'm coming from. I think he might be the more precise striker. Maybe Brandon Royval or Brandon Moreno will have the better power because I do think he's going to be the stronger guy in there, much stronger.
Yeah, I just don't see Royval's crazy style, which puts a lot of people off, gets them off their game. I don't see that happening to Moreno, who has all the championship experience. Also with the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, certainly in the wrestling department, I think Moreno is leagues better. Probably not as good as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, but good enough that he's not going to get caught than anything. Not to what I haven't seen here. So I like Moreno big time in this matchup. I think this whole card, not to give up my, what I'll be saying later on, but I think we got a straightforward card here. Oh, it's going to be good. Good opportunities.
Okay. Make it will be certified. Pepe certified. Moreno all day. I mean, I think you said it best. You saw what happened in the first fight where it was just like a Mack truck and a Volvo, as Chael Sonnen said about him and John Jones. Same thing here, right? It's like you got a skinny little string bean against a man, right? Then you got the fact that Royval is coming off of that Super Bowl hangover of losing the title shot, right? That's going to linger. He's not going to be able to be as motivated to get back to training as quickly after that loss, right? You have your title fight, you lose. Even if you do go back right away and start working right away, right? You're spinning out of control. You're trying to grab hold of anything, you know, UFC calls main event, Mexico City. Yes, something to hold on to, but not the right move. You need to recede. You need to go like Castro into the mountains and recede before you attack and conquer again. So I'm going with Moreno emphatically. Will he get the finish or not is the question. I think he will, because this is now here's the one caveat I'm going to give. Moreno trains where now? He was with Kraus and then he had to not be. So where does he train now? It says Cobrinha. It says Vegas. Okay, I believe that's true. If he's training out of Vegas, sea level essentially, and then Royval is training in Colorado at altitude, we could potentially see. And I don't want to say because Moreno has an amazing gas tank, but who won the later rounds in the Pantoja fight? Pantoja. So I don't think Royval can knock Moreno out, and I don't think he can win rounds. But I think that if we say to ourselves, what's going to surprise us this week? That's what you have to be asking, right? Because every week we're all, in hindsight, a little surprised about something. So what I think could surprise us is that we love Moreno's gas tank. He's got that Mexican warrior fighting spirit. He doesn't give up, never says die. And it's like, I think a lot of people, he's the rightful favorite because it's like, yeah, Royval, he's not going to knock Moreno out. He's not going to take Moreno down. He's not going to catch him in a submission from his back. So how does he fucking win? And the only way he could win is if they have a close round 1 through 3, and then rounds 4 and 5, Royval wins dominantly, like meaning like he's got gas and he's going and he's voluming, kind of like he did in the late rounds with the Pantoja fight. He did that. He didn't win the rounds, but he had like a minute of the round where people were like, okay, he's still got something, like he's still got a fight in him, like that was being said. So go back and watch the last 2 rounds of the Pantoja fight for Royval, and go back and watch the last 2 rounds with Moreno. Factor in that this is going to be at altitude. Factor in that Royval trains at altitude already. I think you have your answer of what's going to surprise us this week. And it could be Royval with a come from behind victory or a close split decision victory in a controversial fight where maybe he gets a 10-8 or a dominating round in the later half and 1 round's close. Just saying.
You got to factory in the X. Isn't that where he trains? Factory X?
That was great. Yeah, I couldn't tell. Yeah, that was great. You got a factory in the X. The X factor. Okay, so we'll triple P certify Brandon Moreno, but keep in mind what I just said there, because you're gonna have to pay attention. This is the last fight of the night. You're gonna have to pay attention to it very carefully. You're gonna have an opportunity to bet Royval live if it comes. You know, you can bet him going in. You can bet him live. Like you're gonna need to see the walkout. You're gonna need to see the first round. You're gonna need to see the announcements. You got to see a lot of things happen and see which way the wind's gonna blow. There's gonna be opportunity here live. All right. So Moreno is triple B certified. Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega. This fight, truly, for the Mexican fans, they couldn't have done better. I mean, if you really look at Raul Rosas Jr., Daniel Zellweger, you got great up-and-comers, you got great mainstays, popular fighters, meaningful matchups. This is a really, really good card to have in Mexico. The UFC did you guys did a great job, Dana. And Hunter and Sean Shelby and Patricia Arquette, all of the great people who work for the UFC. Thank you. especially gotta give a shout out to what's his name? The big man, the real boss, the big boss. Ari Emanuel. I was gonna say Emmanuel Lopez. Mario Lopez, shout Mario. I think I forgot about you. I saw you in the crowd in California. Mario Lopez is the unsung hero of the UFC. No one does more work behind the scenes than Mario Lopez. Thank you for all you do, Mario, and bringing legitimacy to our sport. You're the man. I will literally do anything you ask.
Oh, we didn't talk about Zuck?
We didn't talk about Zuck. We also didn't talk about Moicano. Guys, I'm in love with Moicano. I'm smitten. I'm head over heels for Moicano. I will propose to him if he wants United States citizenship. We can get gay married, and he can come live with me in the U.S. Moicano, treasure. Anybody? You guys agree?
I do not object.
Love Moicano.
We say Moicano, you win the Triple P Sweetheart Award.
Fair enough.
We get a big heart. We'll put his face in it. We'll put it behind me.
We'll do that in post.
Okay. All right. So
Zuck.
yeah, that's people are saying that's why Volk lost, and I tend to agree. I mean, you gotta if the haka means anything, if listening to the right song, the walkout song means anything, then it all means something. You know what I'm saying? And from the time Floyd Mayweather walked out with Justin Bieber and Lil Wayne, I've noticed something about this. I say to myself, this is like a pitcher wearing a gold chain. This is like a shiny object to distract the batter, right? You dangle Justin Bieber right here. You dangle Lil Wayne right here. If you're a fighter that's not a famous fighter like Floyd, and you're fighting Floyd, you go, even if just for a second, you go, fuck, is that Justin Bieber? That he won, right? He's gotten an inch. He's gotten an inch. And in a game of centimeters, an inch makes a lot of difference. So
I love the balls on my mouth.
shout out to my inch guys. Shout out to my centimeter guys. But listen, we got to move forward. And it's interesting that Zuck came out with him. He definitely caused the loss. It was selfish of Zuck. It was selfish of Volk. Zuckerberg, it's like, I hope you're happy. You love Volk. How helpful were you? You took up resources. You're an engineer. You understand math. 1 + 1 = 2. Well, you were +1 that contributed fuck all. You didn't contribute anything. They wouldn't even let you hold the shoes. It's just Zuck. I didn't do anything to you, Zuck. I didn't put you in a position you weren't supposed to be in. I did not give you the shoes. I didn't get my ass knocked out and make you look bad. I didn't do jack. I didn't do anything. They all did this to you, and you did it to yourself. I'm just saying what I saw. So you can say Luke's mean. You can ban me from Facebook. Whatever you want to do. But I'm just saying, don't do it again. Do not do it for Weili Zhang at UFC 300. Or Weili Zhang. Who's he like? The girl she's fighting.
Yao Jinan.
Don't do it for Nan Jinan. Let your wife walk Yan Jinan to the octagon. Go ahead. See what happens. Go ahead. Let your wife walk her to the octagon, and watch Weili pick her up and fucking slam her like a steel chair over your wife's head. That's what will happen. She'll be coming over the top rope like fucking Khabib. She'll be like, but no, this is all jokes. Where's Dan? He knew where I was going with all this. That's why he wanted plausible deniability. Okay, so I say that to say, this fight's in Mexico. It's at elevation. Yair Rodriguez actually trains at a temple that they used to cut hearts out of people and do like sacrificial rituals at. You know what I mean? So not only is he at elevation, but back to my talk at the beginning of the show about rituals, he's like literally summoning mana from fucking the dead. and you know what I mean? Like he couldn't be doing more. He couldn't be doing it more right. Yair Rodriguez is truly doing everything right. From a guy people said fucked around, he's a fuck around. No, Yair is doing quite literally everything right. If you run up a mountain and train at a fucking altar, at a fucking, what is it called? What's it called? A tomb.
Biblioteca.
Thank you, Alex. If you run up to a biblioteca, like, and train there, you're doing the right things. You're putting in the work. You're putting in the time. All respect to Yair Rodriguez. Brian Ortega, an example of somebody who does just about nothing right?
Bullies that poor Tracy Cortez.
He said, guys, when you do it, it's not a fumble, it's a complete pass. Which is kind of funny, right? Like complete pass or complete pass, right? Like I completely pass. It is funny. I'll give him that. Good wordplay. But you're bullying a girl now. You're bullying your ex-girlfriend. Like, okay, you're a cool guy. I don't care what the commenters are saying. Like, who's saying he fumbled the bag? Like, sure, everybody. But it's like, who's really saying it that you need to address it like that? You know? That you need to, and like, does he think that makes him look cool? Oh, you're real cool, Brian. You broke up with a girl. Did you break her heart? Did she think you loved her? Oh, Brian, old blue eyes, Brian. Get it together. Find God. I love you, Tracy, and you're a queen, and you're better off. And you know, Drake.
So is this your way of picking Yair?
Tracy and Mackenzie. Drake, please rescue these girls. Drake, these UFC fighters are treating them bad. We need a good guy like you. Scoop them up, put them on the bus, put them on the jet, take them to Canada, let them have a party, give them lots of money, give them a Rolex, send them home, and then they'll be happy. They won't mess around with no Brian Ortegas. Where's Drake when you need him?
Find God or Drake.
Find God or Drake. One or the other. Okay, so I'm going with Yair emphatically. It's tough, right? I don't know if he gets the knockout. You've seen Brian Ortega be there for a beating with Max Holloway. You've seen him be there for a beating with Volk. But I think the altitude comes into play. He's coming out of California, sea level. So I think Brian Ortega is either going to have a bad brain bleed after this. You know what I mean? Sticking in there for 5 rounds. Because if he can't fucking defend himself and he can't keep his hands up, Yair's not going to put his hands up like Max. He's going to fucking kick him in the head. So I think Yair knocks him out, maybe, or just gets the fight stopped. It might not be a clean knockout. He might clip him with a head kick, pound him out on the ground. I see Ortega in the turtle position. Probably the 3rd or 4th thing Henner showed him, and he's going to be using that turtle position a lot to defend from the onslaught of Yair Rodriguez. So.
Couldn't agree more. I'll roll with Yair Rodriguez as well, fellas.
Yeah, easy pick here with Yair, Triple P certified. The dexterity, the flexibility of Yair will make it so that any possible jiu-jitsu situation will just scramble right out of it. They'll be real hot up there in Mexico, sweating it all out, not being able to get a good grip on those, possible submissions. So, from there, Yair will just be doing work on the feet. And I could go with the over here for sure. Maybe like over 2.5. I think is pretty safe. Ortega's a tough guy, but the definite play is Yair money line. That's what I'm looking at here.
Okay. Next we got, we'll trophy certify both of them. Daniel Zellhuber versus Francisco Prado. Francisco Prado, the Argentinian, coming in the lightweight division, standing 5'11" tall, just 2 inches shorter than 6'1" Daniel Zellhuber, who will also have a very impressive 8-inch reach over Francisco Prado. Minus 260 favorite is the 24-year-old taking on the 21-year-old. And he's coming off that knockout win against Ataman Azaitar 7 months ago. Before that, lost decision to Jamie Malarkey, who has not looked all that good. But I believe that was his first fight in the UFC, his short notice fight. And you have Daniel Zellhuber coming off the Contender Series with a win against Lucas Almeida, who at the time was undefeated. And then he takes on Trey Ogden, who incredibly underrated. I love Trey Ogden with all my heart. He's the man. Trey all day Ogden, baby. He's one of the best fighters. So I love Trey Ogden, and he did get the decision win against Daniel Zellhuber. But back-to-back wins, decision win against Lando Venata 10 months ago. Christos Giagos, he submitted him 5 months ago. I see a lot of the same attributes in Prado as I do in Giagos. They're a very similar build, right? Like very similar kind of style of guy. So I think that Zellhuber, I don't think Prado has the experience to pull the wool over his eyes like Ogden did. I don't think Prado has the UFC experience to really get one over on him. He's the Argentinian. So regionally, still not super far from Mexico. It's not like he's like complete out of towner, but he's not from Mexico, right? Like Daniel Zellhuber, they're fighting in Mexico. You can kind of see what the UFC wants to do here. So I'm going with the favorite. It's a long-winded way of saying that I'm taking the Golden Boy.
The Golden Boy for me as well. I think the reach is just going to be a little too much for Prado. Prado is an up-and-coming prospect. I think he will be good, but this type of discrepancy in height and reach is not going to fare well for him.
All right.
Yeah, Prado is, he's a beast. I'm going to be looking forward to this fight a lot. I think the under is the play. Fight does not go the distance at the very least. But I like Zellhuber. Of course, the reach always helps, but I think he's a little bit more technical than Prado, who's a little bit more of a brawler. And he's going to get some awesome knockouts in the UFC in the future. So he's someone to look out for. But tonight goes to the Mexican Daniel Zellhuber by a hair.
Next, we got Raul Rosas Jr., the problem child, El Nino Problema, versus Ricky Tercios. Pretty Ricky. Plus 210 on Ricky Tercios coming off the Ultimate Fighter. He fought Kevin Natividad to a split decision a year and 2 months ago. Before that, lost to Ayman Zahabi. Only has racked up 3 fights in 3 years. Really, he's only racked up 4 fights in 4 years. The time on the Ultimate Fighter, he had some exhibitions in there, obviously, but yeah, not super active, not super young, 30 years old. The average career in the UFC goes to like 31, 32, 33. So he's kind of green with only 3 UFC fights for this age. And he's taken on a guy who couldn't be getting a faster start, 19-year-old Raul Rosas Jr. Coming in same height. Tercios actually going to have a 4-inch reach advantage over Raul Rosas Jr., who's usually like physically more dominant. I think he is going to be more muscular, but it looks like Tercios has a reach advantage. So I'm going with the young boy, man. I think Raul Rosas Jr. is going to be a problem for Tercios everywhere. I think that where Tercios wants to fight is where Rosas fights well. And I think Tercios is not a guy who likes to win. He likes to fight, right? So he goes in there and he fights and he gets crazy and he makes crazy noises and crazy faces and is happy to like be on his back throwing elbows. I feel like, you know what I mean? He's not necessarily trying to like win on the judges' scorecard enough for me. So for that reason, maybe now that he's at Team Alpha Male, maybe that he's, getting some good advice, good people, he's going to come into this fight the way he should and just out vet this kid. But he's only got 4 more fights than Rosas, right? And Rosas has put up 5 fights in the last 2 years, possibly even more. So that's more fights in 2 years than this guy's put in 5 years. So at this point, Rosas is the more active guy. At this point, Rosas in the right places, doing the right things with the right people. Give me Rosas, possibly I think by KO because I think it's a ground and pound finish.
Ooh.
I'm going to defer on this one. I'm going to go with Ricky Tercios. I just think that the alpha male connection will benefit him a lot. Luke is correct. The way that Ricky loses his fight is accepting bottom position, throwing the elbows, trying to win off of his back, and taking a position that isn't very smart, that isn't very isn't very fruitful. It's not giving him the win that he wants. But I think he pulls it together here. I think he's going to have a little bit more strength than Raul Rosas Jr. Ricky Tercios is very good. He's good everywhere. He's not great anywhere, but I think his style and how much more experience he has is really going to help him against this young guy. I mean, you got to think he's only 19 years old. He's still coming into his own as a man. So I think Ricky's going to get the jump on him, but Raul Rosas Jr. will end up having a better career in the long run.
You know what's funny? Is it Tercios or is it Turquoise?
I used to think it was Turquoise, but I think it's Tercios.
It depends who you ask. If you ask DC from down the bayou, down on the boot, call it Turquoise. But you see the DC and Chael Sonnen are gonna have a show together.
Amazing news. The best
news. They will either absolutely breathe fire and decimate the entire state of play, or end up hating each other. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. I'm telling you, something big is going to come from this show. I've seen how they both operate, and it's going to be big. It's going to be something really big.
I mean, MMA Guru is now more famous than Yasmin Uruguay. He just went on.
He might be more famous than Dustin Jacoby.
Definitely more famous than Dustin Jacoby. Dude, he just went on Demetrius Johnson's podcast all of a sudden. He's the most famous guy in the space.
Yeah, and he also agrees with me that fighters should be paid less.
Smart guy. He's a guru.
He is the guru. As far as my pick, Alex, if it were hold on.
See, Luke,
My dogs are hungry.
that's the power I have. That's the power I have, right? Like he's about to come at me. He's about to come on here and say Raul Rosas Jr. yada yada yada. Alex is an idiot. Alex, I beg you to triple P certify this pick, and then I do, and then it loses, and I was right all along.
You know, you could be right here because there's just too many intangibles, too many unknowns. For example, Ricky Turcios's growth, Raul Rosas Jr.'s growth. We don't know really an exact answer to either of those questions. My pick is based on activity, activity and momentum, right? That's where my pick is. But you're betting on some intangibles that I'm just not prepared to accept. Dan, is that an indicator that the dog, Ricky Turcios, is going to win? Your dog barked.
No.
To stop you. Your dog barked to stop you from picking the favorite.
Yo, my dog was eating the steel leg of the chair that I'm sitting on this whole time. That doesn't mean that all my picks are wrong or that all the dogs are going to win or something. It was just caught at a bad moment.
Listen,
but
you need to control your dog, or I'm gonna call the ASPCA.
My wife walked in. Blame it on the wife.
Was her barking?
In this episode, dude. I don't.
All right, let's move on.
Now it looks like Dan's going to be in the doghouse.
I'm in the doghouse, but she can't get to me, so she's got to take it out on Dan by proxy.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just going to give...
Man, woman, dog.
It's Rosas. That's the pick.
God, man, woman, dog.
Oh, I didn't mean to hit that again. Sorry. I did not mean to hit that again. But we have two more main card fights for you guys. What a treat. What a delicious treat for you. Yasmin Uruguay, Sam Page Hughes, 10-1 Yazzie versus 8-5 Sam Page. So now this is a classic women's fight where you go pretty girl, pretty record, ugly girl, ugly record. And that's how you bet. That's not what you want to do, guys. That's not what you want to do here. Motherfucking ever. Here's what you want to do. You want to say 10-1, pretty face. That's not the average in the UFC. She is due for her record to become more like the women Sam Page who we're seeing. She's due for her face to become more over time disfigured. This is either the greatest fighter of all time, 10-1 Yasmin Uruguay, or it just hasn't happened yet, right? So I'm going with the underdog who not only lives in Everett, Washington, which I don't know if you know this. Let's look up. Hold on. Altitude of Everett. Sound it out, Luke. Washington. Okay. Altitude of Everett, Washington. Let's see. On a good day. It says on a good day, 98,201.
What do you mean on a good day?
Sorry, that is actually Everett, Washington. That is their zip code, 98201. Okay, hold on. Okay, the altitude of Everett, Washington. Okay, it's saying it's 82 feet above sea level. That's not that high.
It's not that high at all.
Not that high. Okay. All right, so it's not that high, but it's higher than Baja California. Let's see what Baja California is. Tijuana, Baja California. Baja California, it's 102 feet. But Tijuana is 65. Either way, these girls are both coming in from similar altitudes, okay? I'm going with Sam Page, plus 350 underdog. Give me Sam Page. Sam Hughes, she's built for this. She does this all the time. You make her an underdog, she comes in and absolutely fucks everybody up. She's got the best coach in the game, Saif Sahoud, coaching at just the best coach that you can possibly ask for, according to everybody. So I'm going with Sam Page, Sam Hughes, plus 350 underdog. When in doubt, bet the lady underdog. When in doubt, bet the lady with the worst record. Bet the thing that you don't think is going to happen. This is what I think is not going to happen. It's what I'm betting Sam Page.
Yasmin Uruguay is going to kick her ass. She's going to come in there, take her down, hold her down, ground and pound. Need I say more? Yasmin Uruguay. Split the difference, Alex.
I'm not in the business of taking minus 500 ladies' favorites. I'm going with Sam Page on this one, just for the shits and giggles.
I'm using my brain and I'm saying, okay, normally what would I do here? Normally I would pick the heavy, or normally what would I think is
You'd
gonna
get
happen?
hard eyes, you'd get googly eyes.
It's crazy. I have to do the opposite. When it comes to lady fights, it's opposite day with me. Everything that you would do for a male fight, do the opposite. So I'm doing the opposite. I'm betting on the gigantic favorite with the the gigantic dog with a terrible record. This is the equivalent of betting like Sam Alvey.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't do. You know what I mean? But in this situation, I'm doing it. So, all right. Manuel Torres versus Chris Duncan.
Great fight.
Not to be confused with Chris Leroy Duncan.
Not to be confused with CLD, who is very good. Not that Chris
A
Duncan.
little bit of an attitude on him, though. I will say that. Little bit of an attitude on that CLD.
I didn't know that, but okay.
He's got great CLDs.
He's a certified lover. Doy. I don't know. That was stupid. Guys, if you came to the show today and you're like, Luke is being fucking annoying the show, I'm with you. I agree with you. And I'm sorry. Let's turn it around right now. And for the Patreon episode, I swear to God, I'll be less annoying. All right. This is a pick'em fight, right? Minus 115, Manuel Torres. Minus 105, Duncan. I have Manuel Torres in a parlay right now. And I don't know why. Because I don't know that I know who the fuck this guy is. I think I thought he was someone else. He knocked out Nicholas Mata 7 months ago.
He did with that crazy step and elbow. You remember this guy?
Now I'm remembering him, but I thought he was somebody else. I'll be dead honest with you. And I definitely thought Chris Duncan was somebody else. He's the problem. He might be the problem in that parlay because, he beats Red Fox by decision. He beats Omar Moraes by split decision. He knocks out somebody to get into the UFC off the Contender Series. His only loss is on the Contender Series to Vladislav Borishev.
Sucks.
Good kickboxer, they say. I mean, I don't really have a lot of respect for his game, but yeah, I'm going with Manuel Torres. Mexico versus Scotland. It's in Mexico. Really, it's a fight with two guys that I believe we still need to see them fight against guys who are either still in the UFC or UFC caliber, right? I mean, I don't really think too highly of Nicholas Mata. I don't really think too highly of Frank Camacho. He's not in the UFC. Omar Moraes isn't in the UFC. Ashboot's just got in the UFC. So I don't really know where these guys are, either of them.
Charlie Campbell just got in the UFC.
Yeah, they both look impressive, but there hasn't been enough data. There hasn't been enough matchups. I haven't seen them in enough minutes with guys who I also know. It's like you're putting them against – it's just all a hodgepodge right now. So I'm going to go with Torres, but it's going to be a close fight, right? I think the pedigree coming out of American Top Team favors Duncan, but then you also have to say, does it? Because is Duncan getting the kind of attention? Is the Scot – he probably goes back to Scotland some months out of the year. Is he getting as much attention at ATT as the people who live there and are millionaires like Poirier and fucking, got everybody else? So I don't know the answer to those questions, but I'm going to go with Manuel Torres for now. Well,
yeah,
I'm stuck with it. So
I've been I've been very impressed with Chris Duncan. Manuel Torres is surging on the scene, young Mexican guy. Who do you think they want to win in this spot? The Mexican guy in Mexico, get the crowd jumping. They don't want another Jeremy Stevens situation with all the Modelos flying into the cage and everybody going crazy. No, sorry, Bob. We want Manuel Torres to win this one, and he's going to do it in devastating fashion. I don't like this Chris Duncan guy. I just think he's overhyped, overrated. I'm glad we're getting an even line on this one. Wish it could have been more inflated like it was in some of his other fights, but I'm running with Torres on this one.
I can almost guarantee Dan picks Duncan.
I'm liking Duncan in this matchup. Solid athlete. Okay. Does the little things right. He's very sound in his fundamentals. Is never out of place. He's defensively sound. His last performance, he showed a little bit more pop than his UFC debut. Young guy, getting better all the time. And now that he's adding some power to his game, I think he's going to be it's going to be a tough out in Mexico City. So, listen, I wouldn't be super surprised if the opposition won, but For now, I'm going with Duncan. Probably not going to be crazy invested. I like the over. Both these guys are tough outs. So,
well, I'll tell you what. If you look at Torres, he's got that long praying mantis cyborg kind of build, whereas Duncan has more of the dwarven kind of Valhallic build, right? Like the big pecs and the big arms, and whereas Torres is more kind of like hard to explain. But bottom line is El Loco is built for go, like a locomotive. And Duncan, I think, is built more for show. Not, but like for spurts. And show is a bad word. For sprints, for not for altitude.
Right.
And this guy is Mexican, right? So you got to think he spends some time. I'm trying to find out where his gym is. Let's see.
Bro, Scotland is like the most mountainous place in the world. He's got to be training in high altitude.
Those mountains those are cliffs, Dan. Those are right.
Scotland has 3 distinct topographical regions: the Northern Highlands, and then the highest point is it contains the highest point in the British Isles, Ben Neves, as well as Loch Ness,
Pont Ivor.
Average elevation.
Dude, this guy's swimming around with Nessie, and you think that a little conflict in Mexico City is going to scare him off? Get out of here.
Okay, 500 feet elevation in Scotland. Yeah. Yep.
That's not that much.
And then it's saying that Northern Ireland. I don't know. Listen, but he trains in Florida at sea level. So, I get what you're saying. Like being Scottish. Yeah.
It's in his blood. Now he's training at what? APT.
He's got those cordyceps mushrooms from the mountains. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that. Yeah, it's what I'm nervous about now. Like I said, I looked at the matchup on DraftKings after I won, and I threw a bet in, and I was like, oh yeah, I was like Manuel Torres, and I'm like Chris Duncan. Fucking. Now I'm looking like neither of these are the guy I thought they were. All right, let's take everybody through our full picks, top to bottom. If you're going with me, Brandon Moreno, Yair Rodriguez, Daniel Zellhuber, Raul Rosas Jr., Sam Page, Sam Hughes, and Manuel Torres to start the card off. That's my 6. Alex, Dan, take it away.
Rolling with me, it's Manuel Torres, Sam Page, Sam Hughes, Ricky Tercios, Daniel the Golden Boy Zellhuber, Yair Rodriguez, and Brandon Moreno. Dan.
I got Brandon Moreno, Yair Rodriguez, Daniel Zellhuber, Raul Rosas Jr., Yasmin Uruguay, and Chris Duncan.
And 3 should be certified picks at the tippy top of the card: Brandon Moreno, Yair Rodriguez, and Daniel Zellhuber. Last 3 fights of the night, all should be certified. Tune into the prelims episode. Let's see how many we get on the prelims. Should be certified. Remember, guys, should be certified picks finished last year 70% accurate, and they're going into this year, I believe, are at 69% accurate right now. So over 2 years of data, we're maintaining a pretty solid 70% accuracy on the should be certified picks. So those are the ones you want to key in on. I'm going to hop over to the Patreon, break down the prelims card with these boys. We're going to do a full another episode, talk about some of the things we missed in the MMA world, and we'll see you there. Thank you all for joining the show. We love you, and enjoy your week and the card and this episode, and all that shit.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.